distracting y'all. Continue.
All right. Hey, looks like somebody's already online. Guys, we are glad you're here. We're also doing prayer groups tonight, so if there's something we can pray for you about, don't hesitate to text that to me or to Kate, or obviously you can always email prayer Mimi as well. But we're excited you're on. We're going to get rolling here in, about 8 minutes now. But we love y'all. Talk to you soon. Couple more, y'all are on. Guys, we're getting started here. I'm glad you're here. We're about to break up into prayer groups. So if there's something I can pray for you about, I'd love to text that to me. My number's 520-335-7425. Love you guys. We're going to get started here. So.
Oh my God. Hey! Guys, glad you're here tonight. You know, I promise, it is possible for those chairs to move off the ground. I promise this is true. If you pick them up, they actually move easier than if you just push it. I just, I like this. I have to try it just to see. But there's not a human in this room that's not strong enough to pick up a chair. So, any one arm in this while you're on my chair. One arm individual. Okay. All right, guys. I'm glad you're here. If you've got an extremely cool story, I'd love to hear that. Actually, even some moderately cool stories. What do you got?
I don't have tomorrow and Friday.
Oh, yeah, you
in school.
Oh, good. That's like you just don't have a Thursday or Friday. That's weird. No school. That's great.
Yeah, and something else. Oh, they hit me in the face. The ball.
And that was cool. So why no school tomorrow on Friday? Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
I didn't have it there.
Yep. Awesome. Jordan.
Nope. I didn't.
Yes.
I drove a car.
I found out that if I were to take the AP exam right now, I would pass
They used to be.
No, okay. AP tech, so by passing you mean like a 3 or higher.
Yes, I would make like a 72.
But you're not taking it higher. All right, guys. Fancy go for the win.
Stay.
Susan, you want to say the view, right? 1, 2, 3. Yo. She had less than you. Are you exempt? Okay, yeah. Okay, you exempt, that makes sense. Alright,
For some reason, the state scheduled the biology star on the same day as the AP Human Geography exam.
Okay.
So I took my AP Human Geography exam, and today was supposed to be the day that all of those AP students took the biology star, but I didn't get the memo, and I thought it was tomorrow, so I didn't go today and missed my biology star, and I have to take it tomorrow.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, Lacey. Okay, so guys, I see Lacey's lips moving, but that's it. Start over, sweetie. I'm sorry.
Our garden is growing.
Cool. I like food, even the kind that you grow. That's great. Awesome. Okay, We're going to jump to announcements, and then Kate's got some prayer groups for us tonight. She made it. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, okay? So, announcements, guys. Monday. Sunday is Mother's Day. I hope you remember that. I did not remember that. Sunday is Mother's Day, so there will not be any bloom or forgeries. Spend time with your moms. Bless her. Do not wait until Saturday night to come up, or even worse, wait till Sunday morning to come up with something for her. The church is going to actually. Yeah, the church is going to give you things you can give your mom, but do something besides the thing you're going to give your mom here, okay? So that's good. What else we got? Oh, camp registrations. Guys, you can sign up for youth camp. A bunch of you have done that. You can sign up for youth camp. A bunch of you have. Keep getting signed up. You can invite your friends. Some of you have done that too. That's great. But we're going, and believe it or not, it's like next month. We're 6-7 weeks away from youth camp. We're really cool. Excited about that. So, yeah, get registered for that. Yes, sir. Yes, I've given you all the Seattle dates several times. It's the last week of July. So, yeah. Yeah, last week of July. It's like the 26th through the 30th and 27th. We don't know if we're leaving the 26th to 27th.
Okay, that's what I know.
Yeah, but it's that week. So if you want to go to Seattle, that's what you're blocking off. Okay, it's good. Okay, Curly, where did Curly go? Where's Curly? Guys, and we introduced Curly last week. Curly's got some cool worship leading skills, and he's pretty interested in working with some of you guys that enjoy that sort of thing. So if you're interested in specifically like instrumentation and want to help the worship band, want to put some of that stuff together, talk to Curly. He's going to help us out, which will be really, really cool. He's going to be doing some of that with us over the summer and probably going in the fall. Which will be really great. So again, talk to Curly. Cool. Just talk to Curly anyway. He's a pretty cool dude. But certainly if you were inclined that way. Wilderness Escape, which is our VBS this summer. It's going to look really different than VBS that we're used to. It's going to be really, really cool. And then, of course, Kids Camp. Those are both opportunities y'all have to serve in church this summer. Kids Camp is only for high school students, but Wilderness Escape, junior high students can serve at that. So if that's something you're interested in helping us out with, text Kate or I, or Pastor Jared, or Miss Laura for that matter, or Mercy, if you have those numbers. And we will send you the link so that you can, I bet Miss Janet has those as well. We'll send you the link so that you can register and start that process. We got to run a background check on you, and there's some things you have to fill out. It's not a big deal, but it's not just a hey, I'll show up and help kind of a deal. All of those, there's a lot of prep, certainly for camp, but also for Wilderness Escape. It's not just a show up thing. So if you want to help out, we'd love for you to do that. You can get hours and all that sort of thing too, but you can get signed up with us. So shoot us a text, say, hey, I want to work both or one of the two. We'll send you the link and you can just start that process, getting registered, okay? And then last call, guys, school's, well, for some of you, 2 days away. If you've got an end-of-the-year concert or a game, or you want me to come watch you at your place of employment, which I will actually do. I'll probably come and spend money, but then just kind of watch you work, which is a lot of fun. Love to do that. Just I got to know, okay? So even if it's the day of, you remember and say, oh, yeah, I got a concert tonight. I can usually swing it, all right? So it's not just me, Kate too, but I do a lot of that. Anyway, shoot those things to us. If you want us to come cheer you on and put you on the Facebook page, like I said, love to do that. It's a lot of fun for us. I just like to see you do your thing, even if they tell me I'm not allowed to use my camera, which I'm pretty sneaky. That being said, I just like to watch y'all do your thing. Y'all are my daily, weekly entertainment. I know it sounds weird, but that's just, I'm a youth pastor and I love you guys and I like to see you do your thing. So if you got something coming up at the end of the school year, let us know. We'll come cheer you on. It's going to be really, really cool. And then there's our phone number so you can do that. All right, Kate, you got our prayer groups?
Yep.
Very cool. She's going to walk us through those. I think it's going to be really, really fun. Let her explain.
Middle is breakfast tacos. Top right is taco salad. Bottom left is Taco Bell. Bottom middle is burritos. And if you don't like tacos, then you have hamburgers on the bottom right.
Very good. We're doing this because today is Cinco de Mayo.
That's why your thing was in Spanish.
Yes, that's why my thing was in Spanish. Hopefully some of you were smart enough to Google that and see what it says. Or some of you just might speak Spanish. I don't know. So anyway, yeah, that's our burger. So if you prefer regular tacos just being, shell, meat, and cheese, you're back there. If you prefer
No, I'm sorry. Those are crunchy tacos over there. Crunchy regular tacos are back there. Soft tacos. No, I'm sorry. That's breakfast. Sorry, breakfast tacos. Breakfast tacos are pretty good. Breakfast tacos back there. Taco salads back over there. If you're a hamburger person, you're over here. If you are a burrito person, you're right here. And God bless you. You're my favorite people. If you're Taco Bell people, you're my people. You're over there. Yeah!
I don't know what to do.
One day, me and right there in the middle. Clock. Burrito people?
Burrito babies.
No. Yes. You do not say that. Because I love y'all. I love you. I told her all the rest of them. Oh, we're so cute. You won't tell me. Oh, it's sad change. Okay, Katie, you're first. I dropped you. See, this is what and when Nicholas starts smiling, and then right in the swimmer. So let me go to you. I'm alive. Oh. Smell it. That is it actually she said mentally. Oh, okay. I really in fact. I am in fact. My lowest range is only a 29. She goes all the hands. I'm 26, guys. Honestly, that's something to respect. I think we should normalize making fun of each other. Yeah, I'm only 3. I have 29 and 44. So just be proud for her. You know what? At least she's going. You're not. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go places. That isn't why. It's because I don't Oh, anyway, go and like, maybe I'll go. Does it cost money? Yes. How much does it go? Sure, it's not like if you don't want to, you're right. I'm also doing summer school. Not because of. That was my prayer request. My summer school. I have summer school. That's so right. No, Friday's her mom person. And she will make a phone call. Are you sure about that? Yeah. You were. I can't see it. See your head. Summer's coming up. Okay. Sorry, I was trying. But we have to move on. You survived. 2 days. 2 days. I'm just. Oh no! I didn't see her. And maybe that's the reason. How many minutes? 8. But you're not. I'm looking like seed and that's what we're funny and grow on because you know these are my grown Why should I say about German? Why was that so crispy? Why was that so crispy? You talk German. And guys, summer. I actually have a lot of things to do. I don't know what to do. I can take this straight. Why? Okay. have been training and I am your personal student. So whether running myself into the car, I used to like that's not the best thing. But if I come home with like
Hello. Hi. Okay. How's everyone's night? I get that. All right. Let's stand up and get ready for worship. All right. We're gonna have a recording, so technical stuff.
This is awesome. I love the song.
Thank you.
You are not hidden. There's never been a moment you were forgotten. You were not hopeless. Though you have been broken, your innocence stolen. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. There is no distance that cannot be covered over and over. You're not defenseless. I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the dark. I hear your whisper underneath your breath. I hear you whisper you have nothing left. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you. Oh, I will rescue you. Would welcome me. I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free. Oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. Praise me has ransomed me, His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, He died for me. Who the Son sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, I am you. The sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
You got it.
Okay. Pulling this dude down just so the audio and the feed's a little bit better. Yeah, thanks, Casey. I'm going to kill those lights too. All right, howdy guys. I'm glad you're back. Same deal as last week. We're going to be looking at a whole bunch of verses. So if you don't have a Bible, there's some stacked up over there, some back to back. Be sure to have a Bible. It's going to be helpful to you. And when a verse pops up on the screen, you can start turning there. I'm going to have some of you guys read those. We are going to jump into a lot of verses. That being said, Lacey's still back. No, Lacey's you're okay.
Can you pull that video up real fast? Y'all watch this. Gonna laugh for a second. Actually, this would be helpful. How many of y'all like the Hunger Games or the Divergent movies or the Maze Runner? The books or the movies, either way. So, yeah, check this out.
Welcome to Post-Apocalypse.
Welcome to Post-Apocalypse.
I'm the giver.
I'm the giver.
Stop it, Jay! That's Mockingjay. This is the Maze Runner.
You're gonna need this for the Hunger Games.
There was a war. We won, but all the parents and all the people are dead. All that's left are extremely attractive 25-year-olds pretending to be teenagers.
They divide us into factions based on personality traits, called cliques.
We're forced to hang out with people just like us.
So it's like high school. These futuristic words won't mean anything to you, but groups are called jock, emo, hipster, geek, and preppy.
You'll have to choose.
But why? What if I don't want to choose a clique?
No one's ever asked that before.
There's something different about you.
You must be the chosen one. The one the prophecy spoke of.
The one to clean up our ugly divisions.
You are the detergent. They'll be looking for you. You'll have to hide in one of the cliques.
Why are we running? What are you doing? It's the horrible twisted nightmare Sam. To help you decide which group.
I was just gonna eeny, meeny, miny, mow it.
We're really into Sims.
Well, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about
There are 2 stages of training. The first one, stage 1. Second, stage 2. It comes after stage 1. We're gonna do stage 1 first.
Got it. We got it.
Who are you?
Vietnam's ever prior. Who are you?
Bread. Peanut bread. I'm the really good-looking, mysterious guy who's gonna be mean to you all during training. And you're gonna find out you're falling for me. I'm also required to take my shirt off at least twice. Even if there's no good reason to. Just FYI.
Got it.
You gotta learn how to trust your clique.
Want me to trust you? How about not throwing knives at me?
Guess this means you aren't the detergent.
No, it means you're terrible at throwing knives.
Maybe I should take my shirt off first.
Who is this girl? And why won't she live by our rule?
Because I don't want to.
Oh, she's good. I never thought of it like that.
Hold still, so I can give you our do whatever we say serum.
No. I'm the detergent.
Hey, could you wash my socks?
Not that kind of detergent.
It's now a good time to take off my shirt.
No.
Okay. Even if you've never seen any of those movies or read those books, it's pretty funny. But it makes a lot more sense. You laugh even harder if you haven't read the books or seen the movies. So Hunger Games, you gotta listen, right? So I said the Hunger Games and the Divergent movies and the Maze Runner. And you combine all 3 of those. Okay. See what? Oh, The Giver. Yeah. Okay. There you go. That's the. I haven't seen The Giver, so yeah, very good. Yeah, I understand that's a pretty good book too. So awesome. Okay. So guys, y'all send me some more questions. We're gonna jump into those hopefully a lot quicker than last week. So I get 3 of them. One, I'm going to tell you what the question is, but I'm not going to answer it until next week because that actually goes to the lesson. I just want you to know that I got your question, all right? So here's the first one. How does God tell us to handle people at school who are inappropriate or talk about sex? I'm sure that you guys don't ever hear about sex at school, right? Like never, ever.
No.
Never. Of course not. Yeah. Or when you turn on the radio or your TV or you wake up in the morning, right? Like it just never pops up. No, guys, kind of the key, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but I would check out Ephesians chapter 5, verses 4 through 16. Okay? Ephesians chapter 5, verse 4, though, simply says, stay away from inappropriate or coarse jesting. So there's a couple of thoughts behind that. Number one, our job, right, is to not be the ones that are making inappropriate comments, specifically about sex. It's not just in relation to sex, but sex tends to be like that. Most bad jokes or whatever kind of revolve around that, right? So at the end of the day, you can't control what anybody else says, but you can control, and you can't control what goes into your ears. Like if I scream right now, you cover your ears, but you're still going to hear me, right? But you do have the opportunity, I'm not going to scream, but you do have the opportunity to walk away. Same deal at school. If it's somebody that you care about and have a relationship with, I would just simply say, hey, like, dude, specifically if it's in the believer, just say, you know, we're not supposed to be talking about that, right? If it's somebody that cares about you, cares about what you think, they're probably going, you know what, you're right, I'm sorry, into the end of the conversation. It's entirely possible they're going to look at you and go, yeah, you're a dork, and they're going to laugh at you and tell some more inappropriate jokes. And that's where you're going to go, okay, like, I'm going to go hang out with some people who aren't talking that way, right? So you can't control what other people are saying. You have the opportunity to influence them. They may or may not listen to you, but that's what you're doing. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is for you to not be the one that is making those comments as appropriate jokes. And you guys probably should know this at this point. If you hang out with people that are doing that all the time, inevitably you will end up being that person making those jokes. It's almost impossible not to. Just the kind of voices you have around you all the time, those are the ones you end up sounding like and acting like and talking like. Again, you have the opportunity to influence those, but if it's you and 7 people and all 7 of them talk that way, eventually there will be 8 people talking that way. That's just how the world works. So keep that in mind. I'm not saying don't ever talk to those people. The Lord calls us to minister to them, that kind of thing. But yeah, speak up, tell them the truth. If they say no and go away, then go find some people that are interested in what you have to say, okay? So there's that one. Next question is, this is a follow-up from last week. Hey, if there's no marriage in heaven, does that mean there's no sex, even though it is a form of worship? Some of you are going, form of sex, form of worship. That is a pretty common nomenclature. And the idea behind sex being a form of worship, just like, guys, anything that God gives us and we use according to how he wants us, that is a form of worship. So if God made you where you could play an instrument really, really well, like Jordan and Sydney did tonight, right? Like they were literally leading us to worship songs. But when you use the gifts that God is giving you, and you're doing it in a manner that's meant, maybe not necessarily to draw attention to yourself. Inevitably, when you're doing something, attention's drawn to you. But like if your goal is just like, Lord, I want to be pleasing you and I want to do things the right way, that is a form of worship. Worship doesn't just happen in this building. So when we say that when a married couple is having sex, it's a form of worship, they're just enjoying the gift that God has given them, therefore it's worship. Does that make sense? Okay, so last week we saw one of the things Jesus said is, no, there's not going to be marriage in heaven. We're going to be like the angels. Doesn't mean that we sprout wings, although we're all kind of hopeful that would be cool. I want to fly when I get to heaven. Okay, so if there's no marriage in heaven, no, there's probably no sex in heaven. I'm glad you're excited about that, Jackson. That's great. So yeah, he was like, yes, okay, cool. Like that's one of the rare times that we say there's no sex, and you're like, woohoo, right? But that's okay. Yeah. Apparently, I can't say that verbatim, but if there's no marriage in heaven, then I'm almost 99.9% confident there'll be no sex in heaven either, okay? If I get to heaven and I'm wrong, I will be okay with that, and you will be too. Is that fair? All right, and then the last question is this, and it gets into, I'm just going to read it. It's not complete sentences here. Oral sex, question mark, anal, question mark, kinks, question mark. What about places other than the bedroom, question mark? I think, again, because they're not complete sentences, I think I understand what that question is asking. We're going to discuss some of those things next week. So there's something for you to look forward to or run and go hide from. Okay?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward.
So there we go. There's our questions. So here's where we left off last week. We talked about the fact that we live in a world that is incredibly sexual. It is a sexual dumpster fire, so to speak. It doesn't matter if you're at school or at Walmart or you're watching TV or just walking down the street. Like sex really is everywhere. And it's not necessarily like just people actually having sex. We just live in a very sexualized culture. So there's just lots of just lust-driven things, maybe your sensual things. And so it is. It's just all over the place. And so the question is, what do we do? And the answer is we run to God. And so we started looking at sex from God's perspective. And the first thing I told you, and the thing that I want you to remember above all else is this: sex was God's idea, right? He was the one that invented this concept. Adam and Eve didn't show up in the garden together. We're going to look at that a little bit more tonight. They didn't show up in the garden together and then figure out like, wow, these body parts go together. This is pretty cool. And then God didn't scream from heaven, no, stop doing that, right? Sex was his idea. He invented it. It's his creation, and it is something that he gave to us to enjoy. And that really is, as you think more about sex, I know that sounds really strange to say, but I don't mean like you thinking sexual thoughts. I mean like you just trying to understand this sex thing and why it's so important. That really is probably the most important factor, is for you to remember, like this was God's idea. It's a good thing. It's not an evil thing. It's not a shameful thing. It's something that God gave to us. So let that be kind of the overarching idea behind that, all right? So here's where we jump in. Actually, I do want to jump back to, what's that? Genesis chapter 2, verse 18. Somebody's over there, right? Somebody read verses 24 and 25 for me.
24 and 25.
Yep.
Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked and were not ashamed.
Okay. So it sounds almost kind of poetic, and actually, I should have said part of 23 too. I really like what Adam says whenever God reveals Eve to him. The first two words are really, it's kind of sweet, and it's kind of funny. But the words out of Adam's lips were, at last, finally. What had Adam been doing all this time until Eve was created? Wandering around, waiting for what? He was waiting, yeah, or maybe sometimes he wasn't even waiting. Like I think it sounds like he was looking for sure, right? Now, what was the job God gave him? Take care of the animals. There was one specific job, though. He was supposed to do what to the animals? Name them, right? So that's kind of a cool job. And he's going around, he's naming all the animals, and he's seeing all the animals are in pairs, but he's all alone, right? And so there's something inside of Adam. He's like, man, like there's nothing for me. And so I told y'all last week, God literally knocks him out. God takes a rib. By the way, don't fall into for a long, long time, people used to say that's why men have one less rib than women. Men have the same amount of rib as women. Adam had one less rib than the rest of us. But men have as many ribs as women do. So don't fall into that trap, right? And please don't repeat that. You look really, really dumb. Men have the same number of ribs as women. I don't know any men that have ribbons, but they have ribs. All right? But God makes Eve out of one of Adam's ribs. And then he wakes Adam up, and they see one another. And this is Adam's exclamation, at last, I finally have someone. And then he says, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. So apparently God revealed, hey, I made her for you. I actually used part of you to do it. She's for you. And so Adam, so on Christmas morning, on your birthday, when you get the thing that you're wanting the most, how do you respond? Yes, finally. I'm so excited. Right on. Thank you so much, right? This is Adam. This is Adam exclaiming God's kindness. Thank you so much. This is what I've been looking for. Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. And then God says to him, hey, you're going to become one flesh. That's code for sex, right? You didn't know that. Literally, the two human bodies become one body. That's part of the sex equation. But then there's this other aspect, too. It says they were naked and they weren't ashamed. That really, so I just want you to think about, for whatever reason, you've heard about the nightmares of you woke up and you were naked and everyone else and you wake up freaking out, right? For whatever reason, if your clothes all fell off right now, you would lose your mind, rightfully so, because that's weird and normal. And I don't mean you intentionally, just something happened to you. There's a reason why pantsing someone is just
Hilarious.
I understand. Yeah. The one time nobody else is talking, I hate Jimson, right? Yeah. There's a reason why that feels so shameful to someone. We're not supposed to expose ourselves in that way. But when a married couple does, there is no shame there. It's beautiful. Now, it's awkward because you've never been naked intentionally in front of someone else. But there's no shame there. This is where Adam and Eve were, right? So I found this picture, and it just made me laugh. I don't know what their faces look like initially, but it does tell us for sure there was no shame. That's pretty amazing. All right, here's the next thing. Number 2, God made sex for procreation. And this is the easy one, right? We have sex to make babies. We got all those beautiful, fun little babies. My wife, she would go, oh my gosh, they're so cute. My wife loves babies almost more than she loves me. And some days she loves babies more than she loves me. She's just a baby-loving lady. She's a baby whisperer. It's awesome, right? My wife loves babies, and she really likes to sniff babies' heads. It's a thing. Babies smell good. For 3 or 4 months, their heads smell all sorts of awesome, and then God makes the baby smell different. Okay, so anyway, Genesis 1:28. Somebody read that for me. What you got, Jordan?
God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish in in the sea and birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground.
Okay, so be fruitful. Again, that's code, by the way, for sex. So this is where actually God commands them to have sex. And he says, and multiply. What's that mean? Have sex, make babies. Right? And then when you've done that, do it again. Like multiply there for a reason. Like we're just going to keep this process rolling. It's not just you, Adam and Eve. You're going to make a lot of babies, and those babies are going to make babies, and those babies are going to make babies. We're going to fill the earth. And then he actually gives the command to the animals as well, which is kind of interesting. So animals, you multiply as well. So it's kind of, so again, guys, the idea is that God made sex. And yes, there is the component of God made sex to make babies. And y'all, I think nobody in here looks shocked. You are all familiar with this process and reproduction, so that's good. If you're not, I'm sorry. And Santa Claus isn't real too. We just Okay, here we go. Number 3. This is the one that might surprise some of you. Okay? God made sex for pleasure. Stay with me. And I like the look on these two faces as well. There's a lot of really funny pictures in the internet. Gotta be careful. Okay, somebody go to Proverbs 5 for me. And then somebody go to Song of Solomon 5 for me, and somebody go to Solomon 8, verses 1 through 3 for me. Okay? Go for it. Okay, Bailey, yes, start reading Proverbs 5, 18 through 20.
Let your family bless and rejoice in your wife with your youth. I love the dear and graceful dove. Let her breast fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always in her love. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, with a forbidden woman and embrace the bosom of an adulteress?
Right there, that's good.
Okay.
That's good. Good job, by the way. You didn't even flinch there. That's great. Yeah. Just by the way, if you just volunteered to read, you're gonna be reading some saucy stuff, whether you realize it or not. Okay. So here we go. This is Solomon writing. Solomon is writing to his kids, specifically his sons, and he's giving them encouragement in a lot of different directions. And unsurprisingly, Solomon, talking to his sons, talks a lot about how they need to carry themselves sexually. And numerous times he says to them, hey, it's going to sound like he's blaming all women for being adulterous. He's really not. But he is telling them for sure, hey, women that are adulterish, we're going to make up that word there. Women that are going to be the kind of women that are more than willing to do things with you that are not even remotely godly. He just blatantly said, stay away from them. Stay away from them. All right? But then he jumps into chapter 5 and he says, here, this is what's kind of cool, guys. He says, hey, here's what you need to do. He says, may your fountain be blessed. Here's the idea of, okay, so there's a water fountain out there in the hallway, right? Does that fountain make the water? No. Where does that water come from? Okay, yeah, ultimately from the earth. Very good. There's it runs through a plant, through pipes and that kind of thing, right? So the fountain itself is just the water distributor, okay? So the idea of this fountain here, it's the idea of offspring, okay? So he says, may your offspring be blessed. Here's how your offspring can be blessed. This is kind of interesting. You pay attention to this. Rejoice in the wife of your youth. The wife of your youth just means like your first wife. Really, it was pretty uncommon for anybody to wait for a long time to get married. And truthfully, a lot of folks in this day and age, and even 100 years ago, people were getting married in their late teens, all right? So wife of your youth, so your first marriage, your first and only marriage, take joy in the wife of your youth. So even when you're old, continue to take joy in the wife of your youth. And then he gets really explicit. Hey, son, in case you're not listening to me very clearly, your wife, she's a lovely deer. She's a graceful doe. Girls, I know that sounds like a weird pickup line, but that would have been really pickupish for women at the time. Okay. And then he says, let her breast fill you with delight. So he gets real specific. Like, hey, this is God. God gave your wife these body parts that you find fascinating. Continue to find them fascinating. Focus on them. Enjoy them. Right? No. This is an incredible thing. And girls, I know this is really awkward. I'm going to try my best not to make this awkward. But I do want you to catch this, guys. God didn't mean sex just to make babies. He meant it to be something to be enjoyed. In fact, he actually is kind of a laser focus here. I don't want you to just enjoy it. I really want you to enjoy this. Study your wife. Really focus in, but just on your wife, not on all the other women on planet Earth. Like I gave you one woman, enjoy her thoroughly because this is an amazing thing I've done for you, right? Now, by the way, that let your fountain thing be blessed here. This verse does not mean that if you are a faithful person, I will bless you with lots and lots of babies. Because there are plenty of women, even in the Bible, that were incredibly faithful, incredibly godly, that never had kids. That's not what he's talking about. So when he says, let your fountain be blessed, it's actually the idea, hey, your kids will be blessed if you'll be a faithful parent. Because watch this. And some of you know firsthand what this feels like. But I've never met a human being, I've never met a teenager in particular that came to me and said, man, you know what? It was awesome. My dad cheated on my mom last night. He was the best. Like, that was so great. We were so happy. Mom and dad broke up. It was just phenomenal. We're so glad. It's just chaos and carnage and wreckage. And it doesn't mean like an end forever of just nothing but awful for the rest of your lives. Some of you are living in this right now. And it just, at best, it makes life complicated and tricky. So there is wreckage that can happen to people that aren't faithful sexually, and not only on the marriage side of things, but on the pre-marriage side of things too. And we're going to talk about this next week. But the patterns you set for yourselves right now, I promise, will affect you when you do get in your marriage. You can't just live however you want to before you get married and then get married and think that everything's going to be great and normal. And okay, like now I'm going to be a faithful human being. The patterns you're setting for yourself now are going to be what sets you up later on. So your kids are going to be affected by your sexual activity right now. You got to know that, okay? That being said, again, the point of this particular section is God wants sex to be a fun thing. So now we jump to the book of Song of Solomon, which isn't entirely about sex, but most of it's about sex. It's kind of a fun book. It's kind of a weird book too, because again, they use really, really weird language. In fact, Solomon frequently refers to his wife kind of like barnyard animals at various points. Which just, I know it's really, in fact, the line that he's going to drop on you, I promise, if you listen closely, you're going to be like, what are you talking about, man? Some of you have already read his. So who's got Song of Solomon 5:10-16? Go for it.
My beloved is radiant and ready, distinguished among 10,000. His head is the finest gold, his locks are wavy, black and raven. His eyes are like
pause for a second. This is important as you're listening. You need to know this. This is not Solomon talking here. This is Solomon's wife. Keep rolling.
Black and raven, his eyes are like doves beside streams of water. Bathed in milk, sitting beside a full pool. His cheeks are like beds of spices, mouths of sweet-smelling herbs. His lips are lilies, dripping liquid myrrh. His arms are rods of gold set with jewels. His body is polished ivory, bed decked with sapphires. His legs are alabaster, columns set on bases of gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as the cedars. His mouth is most sweet, and he is altogether desirable. This is my beloved, and this is my friend of daughters of Jerusalem.
Okay. FYI, she's talking about her husband. She's talking about her husband to her friends, and she's telling her friends, I really, really like my husband's body. And she starts at his head, and she goes all the way down. Yeah. The reason why I'm bringing this up is simply to say, like, sex isn't just for dudes. God didn't just mean for sex to be something that guys enjoy and women adore, right? Like it's meant to be, hey, this is fun for everyone, truly. And we're going to look at another section. Another section gets even weirder. So who's got 8:1-3? All right, Mac.
If only you were to me like a brother who was nursed at my mother's breast. Then if I found you outside, I would kiss you, and no one would despise me. I would lead you and bring you to my mother's house, she who is talking. I would give you spiced wine to drink, the nectar of pomegranates. His left arm is under my head, and his right arm embraces me. Okay. If you were paying attention, you're like, did this woman just say, I wish you were like my brother? Because that's really weird. And that is really, really weird if you don't understand the context. So in that culture, PDA wasn't a thing. It didn't matter if you'd been married for 1,000 years. You just didn't touch your spouse in public. No kissing, no hand holding, no nothing. Unless, and this sounds really odd, if you were a sibling and you were holding hands with a sibling, no one blinked at that. Why would I be holding hands with a sibling? So think like crossing the street, thinking, like just caring for one another, right? Brothers, by the way, were very protective of their sisters, and so they might actually be walking around with their arm over a sister, just giving everybody else a stink eye, saying, leave my sister alone.
This is not like that's not weird for us to think about. Like I would totally do that for my sister. In fact, I had a whole lot of fun messing with the potential boyfriends of my little sister. She's 11 years younger than me, so I really had to be careful. That's another story. But if you want to hear a really funny story, one boyfriend in particular that was genuinely like nearly peed his pants, and I didn't even say a word to him. It was awesome. So okay, yeah, she's married now and it's great, and I really like her husband. But that's the idea. When she says, "Hey, I wish you were like my brother," she says, "Look, I like you so much. I like your body so much. I want to kiss you in public, even though it's considered to be improper." Like this girl enjoys sex with her husband. That's the idea here. Yeah. Most of you, I'm betting you don't think about the Bible and like, wow, that's even like in our culture. Well, maybe not so much in our culture. There are numerous songs where there are ladies now proclaiming their enjoyment of sex, which it's the way they're presenting it is awful. But there's at least that dynamic anymore. Again, sex isn't just a guy thing, but even the Bible presents that. And I shouldn't say even. You need to know like that's actually a biblical concept. It's not just a thing for guys. You got to know that, girls. Now, again, there's a timing issue in there, but I really do think it's cool. Sex was meant for guys and girls. All right, so it's for pleasure. Then the next one is, and then for protection. Somebody jump to 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 1 through 5 for me. Jumping all the way in the New Testament here.
Mandatory fun.
Yeah, we're going to talk about mandatory fun here in a minute.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to read this. Now, concerning the matters which you wrote, this is Paul talking, it's good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman, but because of the temptation to sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife, and each woman her own husband. The husband should give his wife her conjugal rights, and likewise the wife to her husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does, and likewise the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the wife does. Don't deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer, but then come together again so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. So this is the New Testament principle. It's this: if you're married, God's commanding you to have sex. Which sounds like people need to be commanded to do that. Believe it or not, yeah. So one of the best things I've heard in a really long time is this. Before you're married, one of Satan's biggest goals is to get you in bed with another human being. Before you're married. But then after you're married, one of Satan's biggest goals is to keep you out of bed with your spouse. And it's because, again, like there are a number of things that happen to you sexually. We're going to get into this a little bit next week. Not the physical dynamic, but there's some spiritual, I say that, there's a little bit of physical stuff that's going on that's fascinating, specifically in your brain. Some really, really cool things that God designed us to do with our spouses, which is fun. But spiritually too, every time that you have sex with your spouse, there is a tying and a binding with you and your spouse together. And it really, it's not the thing that keeps a couple together, but it helps dynamically keeping them together, right? And on the flip side, again, it's not the only thing that will keep a spouse from running away and cheating on the other. But generally speaking, couples that have really, really what we would call really healthy sex lives, they're not the ones that are out cheating, committing adultery. And they're generally speaking not tempted to even go do that thing. Because remember what Solomon said? Hey, husband, like enjoy your wife's body. And then the wife in the Song of Solomon says, man, I'm just focused on my spouse, and I'm focused on my spouse, and that's the thing that I want the most. Like I'm genuinely excited to be with them. And so it's really, really hard to distract me from the thing that I want the most. So I got this mandatory fun thing on here. So that's not just, that looks like an army patch, and that really is a thing in the Army. Usually every couple of months, the Army commands their soldiers to go and have mandatory fun together. And I know that sounds like specifically like, hey, we want you to get your families and we want you to come to this picnic or this event that we're putting on for you. And it's not like, hey, we're doing this, it'd be really fun if you come. It's like, I'm ordering you, go have fun with your family. Some of us are like, that sounds great. I can't even explain to you how badly so many soldiers hate that. Now, part of it's like some of it's rarely at a convenient time, and so that's part of the dynamic. And then sometimes the Army like puts together really stupid events. So like, no, I don't want to do whatever with. I want to do stuff with my family. I don't want to do your thing. But here's why the Army does this. They know that families that do things together are healthy, and they stay together. Dads that spend time with their kids, like really invest in their kids, tend to protect their kids better. And they also, by default, then take care of their mama better. God knows that husbands and wives that have sex with one another tend to stay together. And they tend to fight for and protect one another. And actually the acknowledgement here is, hey, look, Satan's coming after your marriage. That's one of the ways that you can protect your marriage is to have sex with your spouse. You get to, this is awesome. To protect your spouse, you get to do this thing that's lots of fun. She's like, how cool is God, right? Also, like, I just think this is ridiculously neat. Like all the way, like he didn't say, you have to march in front of your house 7 times and say this prayer and kill this chicken. Like it's not a bunch of crazy stuff. It's just, hey, just enjoy this incredible spouse I've given you. You can protect your marriage there. And it's not even, he doesn't even say, hey, like, in fact, he kind of implies there, like you need to pray together, but then you need to like have sex. And there might be a situation where you need to stop having sex to pray together. But when you stop praying together, then have sex again. This is really incredible. And if you're not, I guess if you're not familiar with what's going on in the scriptures, or if you're just familiar with like how sex is presented, not from the Bible, but how people talk about sex when it comes to the Bible, you think, man, like God's so down on sex. He doesn't care about sex, thinks sex is weird, and he doesn't. And it's his idea. He thinks sex is all sorts of awesome. So a couple last things, okay? Since God made sex, he gets to make the rules. And he knows how sex happens the best. So that yellow car up there, that's one of my dream cars. Like 2 dreams. I want a Ford F-150. I want a blue Ford F-150, and I want a yellow Mustang. Right? I don't want a yellow anything except for my one yellow shirt that I wear. But I just think yellow Mustangs are super cool. Right? I didn't create Mustangs, but if and when I ever get my yellow Mustang, I'm going to do everything that the manufacturer says to do to take care of that thing because that's the car of my dream. And I should do that with any car I get, right? But I'm going to listen to Ford because Ford's the one who made those things. He knows how to, Mr. Ford or whoever made that particular Mustang, going to know how it works best because he made it. This is why we listen to God when it comes to sex. It's not just because he gets to make the rules and he created it, and so I'm going to do what he says, but he knows how to best enjoy it. He knows how to be most fulfilled by it. He knows how it's going to operate the best, and he knows you best too, by the way. So let that be one of your motives in this thing too. And I was going to talk about Ninja Turtles and Monopoly in the NFL, and I don't have time. I got to pray and get us out of here. But if you want to stick around after I pray, some of you need to go, and I get that. If you want to stick around, I'll talk to you briefly about those things, all right? So let me pray. If you need to go, that's fine. Heavenly Father, thank you for tonight, and thank you so very much for loving us like you do. Would you bless your word in the students' lives? Tonight was good, Father. I don't want this to be awkward, and you didn't mean for it to be awkward, although I'm glad that we're maybe more squeamish about sex than pretend like we know everything about it. I don't even know everything about it, God. But help us to cherish it and see it in the light that you do. Thanks for all the good gifts you've given us. We love you, Father. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Hey, guys, I love y'all. Again, if you want to stick around, that's fine. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye. Oh, the question box is still up here, too, if you got a question. So.
feel like I have to go far away so that nobody.
Hey guys, we love you, and we will see you soon. Y'all be good. Bye.